Hi everyone, this is Kelvin Hoy, the Cinephile. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for clicking. I really appreciate it. So as you can see, I have a guest. This is Michael Chan, actor, model, and friend. So we've known each other for over 12 years.
Yeah. Wow. 12 years.
Yeah. So he was nice enough to come and talk spoilers with me about Spider-Man Far From Home. So we will spoil this film.
Yep. So if you haven't seen it, don't watch any theater.
Yes, if you haven't seen it, just save this video and you can watch later afterwards. I know people are busy, so they might not have seen Far From Home yet. But it's a great film, so you should watch it. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
I like to do a little bit of plots, positives, mixed, and negatives.
Okay.
I know you don't have any negatives, but
Spoilers? No.
yeah, but we'll get into it. Okay, so the plot is basically Far From Home. Peter Parker was snapped.
He was.
And this will be spoilers for Endgame as well. And his friends, most of his friends were snapped as well.
Or blipped, as they call it.
Yeah, blipped. They came back. Aunt May was snapped as well.
Yes.
And she's fine. she's like well adjusted.
Yeah. Yep. No.
Well, it's a film. But so she was snapped as well. Ned, Betty Brant.
Yeah.
I was about to call her Zendaya. MJ.
Yeah.
Was snapped. So they're all the same age.
But not Brad Davis, who he was not blipped, and so he came back, or they came back, and he's now this
5 years older.
Yeah.
So he's a
tall, handsome, half Asian dude.
Yeah, 16. I think they're 16 in this film.
Yeah.
So most of them are the same age, so we didn't miss anything with their characters. No. So the plot is Peter is dealing with the aftermath of Endgame.
Yeah.
Presuming it's a couple months after. So he's dealing with the loss of his mentor. And he goes on a European school field trip with his class.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant. Like, it's so well planned and well thought out. It's like, we have to get out of New York, right?
Yes.
Especially for the second film. Presumably, I think they'll have more. They'll probably have 4 or 5 if it keeps going like this. But in terms of quality, I mean. But anyways, the second film is like, let's get out of New York and let's make people miss Spider-Man in New York.
Mm-hmm.
So just like, I think it's the first scene or the first 2 scenes in New York, and the last scene is in New York of the film. And then most of it is in Europe.
Yeah.
And they shot in these places, which is awesome. London, Prague, Venice, yeah. And such a breath of fresh air, because as Michael told me, this is the 7th Spider-Man film, live action.
Yeah. 8th if you
and we have Spider-Verse,
yeah,
which was in New York. So brilliant. Just get out of New York, go to Europe, some new locales, have Spider-Man be in a different place, because he is, and they sort of touch upon this in the film.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of these heroes, whether it's Cap or Iron Man before, or Hulk, like, they're all in America.
In America, yes.
I think Iron Man was in LA, but most of them are in New York.
But there's also one New York, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's nice to just get out of America, have some new locales,
so smart,
and see what we can do with that.
Yeah, and they did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's shot well. Venice, beautiful. Yeah, it's such a breath of fresh air. I really liked it. Like, I was really excited about this film once they sort of leaked a couple of details, like Far From Home, school trip.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, great, Europe. So happy that this is a sequel to Endgame, quasi-sequel.
Yeah.
And it's not like because there were rumors like, what? When does Far From Home take place? This is like 6 months ago. Is it a midquel? Like, it takes place before Infinity War? And I was like, oh my gosh, no, please no, right? Because they just did, this is spoilers for MCU in general, but they just did Captain Marvel,
right,
which takes place in the 90s.
Prequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, you have to be careful with the prequels, because it's tough.
Yeah, no, it's especially with continuity and everything that's been established.
And also caring, right? It's like, oh, it's a prequel. This Peter Parker's, like, if Far From Home took place before Infinity War, it wouldn't have done as, I think the story wouldn't have been as good either.
But what I mean, its place in the MCU I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
because everyone thought that Endgame
Yeah.
was the end of this phase, right?
Yes, yes.
That was the final movie, but it really, as it turns out, it's this movie.
Yeah, yeah.
This is kind of like the cap.
Yeah, the last chapter.
Yeah, the last chapter of Phase 3, and there's actually a scene right at the beginning with the little tribute video
Yes,
to Tony
yeah.
Stark, and then you have like the school announcement
Yeah,
videos,
yeah.
right? They are talking about the blip and all that,
Yeah.
and I love how Betty Brant says, you know, it's time to move on
Yes,
to,
yes.
to a new phase
Yes, yes.
of our lives. I'm like, oh my god.
Yes.
Could you not have ended this phase any better? That is
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
That is a perfect way to start the new
Yeah.
phase, right?
Because, I mean, even though the next phase, and this phase 3 is like 10 films, I think. It's the longest one.
It's been long, yeah.
Yeah, it's long. And, anyways, the next phase, of course, will mention Cap and Iron Man, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And Black Widow. But yeah, this is like, let's close it out. I think the next film might be a prequel. Let's not talk about that too much. I think it's Black Widow next year. But anyways, yeah. So let's get into it. So that's the basic plots.
Yeah.
They go to Europe. They meet a new character who's never been in live action, Mysterio.
Yep.
Fantastic. Gyllenhaal does such a good job, and it's really, see, this is why being an actor is so cool. You know this.
Yep.
And like it's funny because Michael's such a cool guy, but he's such a hard worker. Like you never gave up.
Thank you. Nope.
Yeah.
I have not.
Which is really awesome because I was trying to become an actor. I was an actor
You
for a
still
little bit, yeah. But I took a break, and he never has. But anyways, see, this is the cool thing about acting, especially Hollywood, is that like it's sort of cyclical, and
Yeah.
sort of like everything connects. So Gyllenhaal was rumored. I think he's downplaying it now, but from what I've heard, he was very close to taking over for Tobey Maguire from Spider-Man 1 to Spider-Man 2, because Maguire hurt his back seriously
Right.
on Seabiscuit. So this was a long time ago now. This is like over 15 years ago. But so Maguire hurt himself on Seabiscuit after Spider-Man 1 was a huge success, and the studio, you know, it's a studio.
Yeah.
You know, they're a little bit cold, so they were like, well, if you're seriously injured, we're not gonna wait for you for a year of rehab. And everything worked out great. But anyways, Gyllenhaal was rumored to be Spider-Man, and he does have, I think he looks a little bit more, like, I don't know if he would fit great as Peter Parker.
He has the
Spider-Man
qualities
he would do.
to be
Yeah.
a good Spider-Man, especially younger
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal, right?
Yeah, that's true. And he looks like they all have that, you know,
There's that look to them.
look to them.
Yeah.
Nice looking, but a little bit, maybe,
Yeah.
especially Maguire and Holland, like a little
Yeah.
bit geeky. I don't know about Gyllenhaal.
But at the end of the day, I mean,
Yeah.
he's here. He's
Yeah.
in the Spider Universe.
And what I wanted to get to, sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent, is that now he's Mysterio.
Yes, he is.
And it worked out, and he was one of the, I think it was Gyllenhaal and maybe DiCaprio, because, what's his name? Bane. Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. Yeah.
Hardy's done 2
Yes.
superhero films.
Yeah.
Bale's done it. Like all these great actors have done it. So I mean, really, it was Gyllenhaal and DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, I guess, who haven't ever done anything like this.
Right. Trying to see if there's anyone else.
Yeah. And Gyllenhaal was in Prince of Persia, but whatever. I mean, in a franchise film. But yeah, it's really cool that he's Mysterio now. And this is a spoilers review, so so they meet Mysterio, and he is from another world, and he says he's from another world.
Right,
Yeah.
and since the trailer, right,
Yeah.
we've all been told that he's some kind of hero
Yes.
and not a villain, and I've always loved Mysterio.
Yeah.
That's why I have a figure of him.
That's a nice figure.
And he is a villain
Yeah.
that I have wanted to see
Yeah.
come to life forever.
Yeah.
And I have been very surprised that they haven't brought him out yet.
Well, he's also in live action.
In
he's
live
a
action,
tough character.
well, he would
was.
be. Well,
Yeah.
he would be because he looks a little bit more ridiculous
Yeah.
than all the other villains that they've brought out already.
Yeah.
But I mean, especially since he's one of the Sinister Six.
Yeah.
And so I was like, guys, come on, you have to bring him in eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a matter of how you're gonna do a dude with a fishbowl on his head, right?
Yeah.
But for me, for him to show up and then in the trailers they're like, he's a hero from another world fighting these monsters. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, no, there has to be something more to this.
Yes. Yes.
As it turns out, there was.
Yeah. I mean, that's his comic book.
Well,
I don't know too much about Mysterio.
Well, Quentin Beck is
but his
a
comic book history as well.
No, he's a failed actor.
Yeah.
Who's
I relate. I relate to
you
him.
relate. Who's really
man.
good at special effects.
Oh.
So he realizes he can actually use his special effects to do
Oh my gosh,
things.
it's me.
And if I remember correctly, in one, I think it's the first time you see him, he
Oh,
frames
yes.
Spider-Man
Yes. Yes.
for a crime, but eventually, he gets found out, and Spider-Man defeats him.
Right. That just reminded me. We spoke about this in the non-spoilers, but the 1960s animated Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It was in a studio.
Right.
Because he's an actor.
He's an
slash
actor.
he knows the
Right.
tricks.
Right,
Yeah.
all the tricks.
All the tricks.
So in the comics, he's like a one-man band. He does things himself.
Exactly.
He knows how to do the special effects, and
Yeah.
obviously, with the movie version,
Yeah.
they didn't go in that actor.
Right. That would have been funny
film.
though.
It would have been.
Like he was a failed actor. Oh man.
But I mean, they bring him in,
Yeah.
and even though he's not an actor and he's not a special effects
Right.
specialist, I feel they really did him justice here.
Yeah. Well, it's the same core, right? It's the same, like, sort of.
Right.
He's pulling a scam, basically.
He's pulling a scam.
Yeah.
I get, in a way, you can call him a failed scientist, a failed techie,
Right.
because he was fired by Tony,
Yep.
right? And he's bitter.
Yep.
He has the ability, he has the technology, he has a good team in this
Yeah.
case, which actually makes complete sense because
Yeah.
you need a team to pull off something like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, and so basically, that's the plots. I mean,
Mhm.
they go. Peter goes to Europe. He wants to spend time with MJ.
he does. Yeah.
Of course, he has obstacles. He has this new character, Brad Davis,
Yeah.
who was played by Remy
Right.
Hill.
Right.
So he's a new character. I like that he was a kid and he
Yeah.
aged.
He aged.
He aged 5 years. So he's this teenager, much larger teenager now, obviously, from a kid. So I liked his character. And so, yeah, that's the basic plot. They go to Europe, they
There's
meet
also-
Mysterio.
He's been ghosting
Yeah.
Nick Fury.
Yep, he doesn't want to talk to Nick Fury.
No,
he
he
wants to
doesn't.
be, after everything that happened, right? He
Mhm.
was dusted, or snapped. Peter Parker
Comes back.
comes back, fights in the battle at the end.
and then loses
Loses
his father
Tony,
figure,
yeah.
essentially.
Yep, and he has to go back to school.
Yeah.
So he just wants to go on vacation. He just wants to enjoy, right?
Right.
And
And meanwhile, he's still being pursued
Yeah.
by Nick Fury
yep.
because he has to give him Edith. Right?
Yes. So they're in Europe. Nick Fury finds him, gives him
Yeah.
something called Edith, which is Tony Stark's glasses
Yeah.
and all the technology within the glasses. So he can control drones from the
Yeah.
sky. And it's this whole complex computer system.
Right.
Anyways.
And he also wants Peter to be the Avenger he's
Yeah,
supposed to be.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Which is how he ends up meeting Mysterio and all
Yeah.
that to
And-
fight these monsters.
Yeah, and remember Peter's 16 in this film,
Yeah.
so he's a little bit hesitant. So he meets Mysterio. We figure out eventually it's done very well.
Mhm.
Now, we can get into positive now. I think we've mostly been positive. So the reveal. So
Yeah.
they're in a bar. Quentin and Peter are talking.
Yeah.
And Peter gives Edith this powerful system to Quentin.
Yes.
Because Mysterio has been acting as a hero, so he stopped. By that point, I think he stopped two elementals, Hydro Man, or a version of Hydro Man,
Hydro Man
and
and
the fire, the fire monster.
I
Molten
don't-
Man. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
that
That's
was-
right. Yeah, Molten Man. I believe that's right. And anyway, so he's pulled the scam off. Basically, he's
Right.
a hero.
He is
Nick.
yeah.
Now we'll talk about this later, but Nick Fury believes that he's a hero, or
Yeah.
everyone at Shield believes
From
he's a hero.
another universe.
Yeah.
So
And,
brings into the,
multiverse. Yeah.
brings the multiverse in, which by the way, because it's of the reveal,
Yeah. Yeah.
now is like, does the multiverse exist?
Yeah. So it's out there that it may exist, just not in this film.
No.
Like now, Quentin is a scientist or tech guy,
He's a tech guy.
so he's a smart guy.
yeah.
So he did research, I'm sure, and said, oh, this Earth is 616, and my Earth is, I can't remember, but
But again,
It's
that
a
was
theory.
all it's a misdirect though.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all a misdirect.
yeah,
Even as the audience, right?
Yeah.
We were led to believe going into this movie that the multiverse exists.
yeah,
And then Mysterio's from a multiverse, only to be told, wait a minute, this whole thing doesn't exist.
Right.
He's a scam artist.
yeah,
Come on, that's pretty awesome.
yeah. Oh, it's brilliant. It uses the comics, and that's
Yep.
multiverse universe.
Yeah, and the numbers,
Yep. Yeah.
because
Very well.
they use the comics numbers.
Yeah. So yes, basically Peter gives him Edith. He reveals himself.
Yeah.
Then they have to. He creates, I don't know what kind of monster. It's like a storm monster.
The amalgam monster.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a huge finale.
There's a finale.
Battle finale.
And of course, MJ
Yes.
figures out that Peter is
Yeah,
Spider-Man and
yeah.
he admits to it. Yep.
They always do that in the second one. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
Well, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoilers for all Spider-Man films, but the Garfield one, she figured it out pretty quickly.
Yeah, she
Um,
did.
Emma Stone's character, Gwen Stacy. But yeah, so Tobey's Spider-Man 2, MJ figured it out, or she was told,
Yeah.
or found out. And this one, MJ figured it out, and then Peter goes back and forth on it and says, yeah, okay, I am.
Yeah.
So now she knows, along with Ned,
Ned,
pardon
yeah.
me.
And
And,
Aunt May.
yeah.
And a lot of other people.
Yeah. So is there, I know you love this film, so what did you love about this film most?
Well, okay, I'll start
You
with.
started with Mysterio.
I'll start with
That's great.
Mysterio. I'll start with Mysterio because again, like I already mentioned that they really did him justice, and one of the things, especially when he finally became the villain,
Yeah.
right, in the film, they showed how terrifying he truly can be.
Yes, yeah.
Right. His he doesn't have powers.
Yeah.
Right. He's just a guy with a lot of tech and a good team,
Yeah.
and he can really mess you up
Yeah.
with the illusion tech.
That sequence.
Like really mess you up.
Okay, so jumping off of that sequence, I was like, because at first I was like, okay, he's flying around, he's like shooting his
Yeah.
beams. I was like, okay, this is, because also it was in the trailer, so
Mhm,
I was
yeah.
like, okay, this is a bit standard, but once we get into, very Mysterio-esque sequences,
Right.
so he has, I guess it was a warehouse, right? The first fight.
Right. The
It was
warehouse in Berlin.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Warehouse, and then he's using all of these tricks on Peter, so it's very
Right.
nightmare-like,
It's yeah.
and it's very sort of dreamlike. And then he brings him, and then they're doing all of these fights and like multiple Spider-Mans beating up Spider-Man, and
And then
all this
like
great
the really, really, really evil move of bringing in a zombie Tony
stuff.
Stark.
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
That is mean.
yeah,
That is mean.
and dark.
Yep. So zombie Iron Man was just mean.
Yeah,
That was mean and just
And
showed,
dark.
and dark and just really showed not just how terrifying Mysterio can be and what he can do with his abilities, but just how demented this guy actually is.
And he was like mocking Peter,
Mhm.
and he knew everything, and he, like, that's what I said. It's like how intelligent this character is, and how clever he is, how sociopathic he is, because even his team was like, oh, that's a lot of casualties, right? In London.
Yeah.
They had that, whatever.
Right,
monster
right.
it was. So that's a lot of casualties. Should we do this? And he was like, well, yeah, the more casualties, the more
better.
the more news, like
Yeah.
the more praise, right?
Or how easily he just says, I'm just gonna go kill those kids.
Yep, I'm gonna go kill those kids.
Yeah.
Those students. And even when he said, like, I think Gyllenhaal has that. This is why I said, we're speaking about this before, but Gyllenhaal was rumored for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Between Spider-Man 1 and 2 for the Maguire series,
Yeah.
when Toby hurt his back. This is just my opinion. I don't want to talk about this too much, but I do think, like, I'm sure he's a nice guy in real life, Jake Gyllenhaal, but he does have a little bit of that sinister quality.
Yeah.
Where I don't think his Peter Parker. I mean, I'm sure he can play geeky and nerdy. He's a great actor, even 20 years ago when he was
Yeah.
when he was young, a teenager or 20 years old, but I do think there's a little bit of that sinister quality to him.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so let's get to mixed quickly.
Sure, yeah.
So for me, mixed, I wrote it down. I do think. I know you want to talk about the Edith, the drone system, but for me, just I think the only sequence that I was mixed on in this film was the drone and the school bus when they're driving, and Peter, he says, take Brad Davis down, right, or something, and then the drone actually shoots at the bus, and I was like, okay, this is a little bit over the top and silly, and so that was one of the sequences that I didn't like, but we spoke about this before. You have an issue with Edith in general.
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, well, okay. One of the biggest themes in Spider-Man in general is with great power comes great responsibility, right? And Spider-Man, through all Spider-Man, not just the MCU Spider-Man, but every single Spider-Man
In the comics, yeah.
and in the comics, Peter really takes this to heart. So, and up until now, with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, we've always seen him go, I want to do more, I want to do this, I want to do this, Mr. Stark, let me do this, right?
Yeah, it's proactive.
He's always trying to take responsibility.
Yeah.
And this movie was interesting because it took such a turn.
Yeah.
In that, here he is saying, I don't want responsibility.
Right.
I don't want to be the next Iron Man.
Right.
I don't want to be, essentially don't want to be an Avenger. I don't want to work with Nick Fury. I don't want to, you'd have to deal with all this, especially after everything I just went through in
Endgame.
in Endgame.
And Infinity War.
Yeah, in Infinity War. So that was interesting to see, except that we have Edith.
Right.
And for me, what was mixed about this movie was the introduction of Edith.
Yeah.
Because it is essentially a Big Brother system.
Yep.
Plus, it has access to hundreds, if not thousands, of killer drones that have multiple abilities. They are ridiculously dangerous.
Yeah.
So, Tony Stark, this movie is also about his legacy, right? So you have his legacy of being the hero who died saving the world.
Yeah.
Yet you also have the legacy of all the disgruntled people who worked for him.
Yeah.
Wanting to essentially get one over on him even when he's dead.
Yeah.
But you also have the legacy of Edith.
Yeah.
So he wants to give one of the most powerful pieces of tech on the planet to a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And on top of that, so Nick Fury is supposed to be the one who gives it to him.
Yeah.
And yet at the end of the movie, we found out it's not him.
Yeah.
He gave it to Talos,
Yeah.
a Skrull, to go and give it to Peter.
Yeah. That was
What?
Yeah. Well, let's just go into that. The mid-credit sequence is fantastic. It's one of my favorites. I think it's brilliant. When they sort of have that sequence with J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
and
J.K. Simmons coming
J.K.
back.
Simmons comes back, so he's in two
Yeah.
universes. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's so funny. Like a part of me is like, it's completely awesome, and a part of me is like, really, you couldn't find anyone else who could like maybe try something a little bit
Nope.
different.
No, it's
Um,
him.
Yeah. And anyway, so the mid-credit sequence is incredible. The way it's cut, where Peter's sort of watching on the screen, and it sort of Quentin Beck sort of said, "The real Spider-Man is," and it sort of cuts out, and you're like, "Oh, okay, they did that." And then it cuts back in, and he said, "Peter Parker." Amazing, incredible, like one of my favorite post-credit sequences. But the end credit sequence, the very last one, is what you're speaking of, which is also in the mixed category for both of us, I think, is Sword, or Shield in Space. I didn't even know what Sword was 2 weeks ago. But, so Nick Fury is in space now. He's in charge of the space
We think
station, I
he's
guess.
in charge of Sword.
Yeah. And he sends Talos, who's a Skrull, introduced in Captain Marvel, to do his work. And I thought that was like as I was saying to you, it's overwritten. Does that make sense? Like it's sort of
Yeah.
like, one more twist that you really didn't need. Like you didn't even need that end credit sequence, right? Like that
Yeah.
mid credit sequence is incredible. Leave it at that.
Like for me,
Yeah.
okay, I would be more okay
Yeah.
with Nick Fury and Maria Hill being Skrulls.
Yeah. Maria. Yeah. Maria
Because
Hill.
really, it does explain how he gets duped,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because Nick would get duped.
Right.
But yeah, it explains a lot
Yeah.
of what happens in this movie
In the
with
film,
Nick
yeah.
Fury, right? I'm okay with it if Edith didn't exist or
Yeah.
was different. My
Yeah.
problem is when it comes to responsibility.
Yeah.
I find Edith to be a morally complicated thing that they introduced in this movie
Yeah.
because sure, Spider-Man has to take responsibility for things, and by the way, I want to applaud this movie because I felt in Homecoming Peter didn't really learn from his actions.
Right.
There wasn't just the consequence versus what he did. It wasn't there.
Right.
But this movie, he really deals with
Yeah.
the consequences of his actions, and
yeah.
he understands what he did. But here's the thing. I think there are some things in this world that are it's just too much responsibility.
Yeah.
And Edith, the introduction to Edith just makes me go, what? Because this
Yeah.
is too much
It
for
is,
Spider-Man. And to be honest, it's too much for Nick Fury.
Yeah.
It's too much for even Cap, who's a great guy.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone should
Well, that
have
was
Edith.
in, spoilers for the MCU, but that was in Winter Soldier.
Mhm.
They had a simpler system, which was, basically a Big Brother system, right? Like
Mhm.
you can watch everyone.
Yeah.
And that was sort of when, this was 2014, so this was when, I guess it was leaked or there was news that the American government, through the internet, was watching people.
Right.
And keeping track of them. And of course people will argue, well, yeah, they're the government, like they should be doing that, they should be tracking criminals.
Right.
But then people were saying, they can track anyone, they can
Yeah.
see what you're doing, they can watch you and your family. It's
Yeah.
like,
But now this also raises other questions, like,
Yeah.
okay, so this is Tony's legacy.
yeah.
Dude, how dangerous was Tony? Really, how dangerous was he?
Yeah. Well, he was, in the first one, he was a jerk.
Yeah.
But more importantly, he didn't care, right? He was a weapons manufacturer,
Yeah.
amongst other things. So he was selling like warheads and whatever to
I know, but I'm just
to other
saying,
people, yeah.
after Endgame,
Yeah.
we're supposed to view him in a positive light.
Yeah.
We're supposed to see him as having learned
Yeah.
and having his legacy is supposed to be a positive one.
Right, right.
Yet, to me, in a way, and why I'm mixed on it is now I'm
Tarnished
like,
it.
in a way, yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm like, dude, Edith, and you want to give it to a 16-year-old?
Yeah.
What
Well,
in the hell are you
yeah.
doing?
Well, you bring up a great point because I didn't even think about it. I just thought the system was, I didn't really have too much issue with it. I just
Right.
thought that one sequence with the bus was,
Right,
silly
and that's why I was
ridiculous
saying
and-
it makes sense for me because
Yeah.
in Peter's hands, he accidentally nearly killed his classmate.
yeah.
Right?
Well, it's also, and the system, if you didn't have the drones, then,
Well, even the surveillance is bad.
yeah. Well, no, but I mean the final battle with
Oh,
Beck
yeah.
and Mysterio and Spider-Man and the fake monster. Like you wouldn't have that. Well, you would have that, but you wouldn't have the damage or the
Right.
fight basically if he didn't have those drones, right?
Right.
It would just be like sort of a double. It would be the same sequence as the warehouse sequence, which is incredible, and we spoke about that. And so, yeah, I mean, I understand your point, but those are the only two things. I think it was the end credit sequence and the sequence with the bus. Now, I thought, really quickly, I think mixed again for me. I mean, there are a lot of swings at comedy in this film, and most of them are great, right? Like whatever you think they are, base hit, double, triple,
Yeah.
home runs, etc. But and this is a Marvel thing for me. Like you like DC, and I like DC, right? And to varying extents.
Various degrees.
But Marvel is known for comedy, and usually it's great. I think this one, it's not a big deal. I just think there were like a couple of jokes that were like,
I think
You
that's
didn't
more
really
of
need
a
it.
personal taste. Thing,
yeah, and but it is a very young skewing, or younger skewing.
It's a younger
film.
movie.
Yeah.
I mean, target wise.
Yeah.
It's for everyone, but yeah, it would have a younger feel to
Yeah.
it, especially with the characters.
Like
involved.
Ant-Man is more family.
Yeah.
Cap, I guess the Cap ones are a little bit more serious. Anyways, so I guess those are our mixed and negatives for this film. There's not too much.
No.
We really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's final thoughts and
Final thoughts,
do
okay.
scores.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to get this in here. So I thought the sound effects with no music. I believe this was the second sequence or second fight between Mysterio and Spider-Man.
Mhm.
They used to do this in the old Maguire and Raimi films, which is they like Spider-Man would be swinging or diving and they cut out the sound,
Mm-hmm.
or no, cut out the music, and then you just get the sound effects. So you hear Spider-Man going like, and they did this in this one, like the old Spider-Man film. So I really
Yeah.
enjoyed that. Most of the gags worked for me. I thought it was a very funny film. Very sweet. So the relationship between Peter and MJ was really sweet.
That was done really well.
Good musical score.
Yeah.
Very twisty. Really well done.
Great acting.
Yeah. So Gyllenhaal and Holland
Yeah.
are fantastic.
Zendaya surprised me. I
Yeah.
honestly didn't know who she was until Homecoming,
Homecoming, yeah.
and
I knew who she was. Yeah.
I was so with her in Homecoming, but now I feel like she's coming into her own
Yeah.
with this character.
Yeah.
So I liked it.
Yeah. So yeah, very twisty, really well done. Never felt like too much with Mysterio, or it never made me say, "Oh, come on," Like I love the train moment.
Yeah.
Love that Mysterio tried to shoot Peter in the head.
Yep.
That's dark, but like it was so well done, right? Because he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm so sorry," right? And he's just like he's behind him trying to shoot him.
Yeah.
So it just showed him again like he's a sociopath.
Yep.
So those were done perfectly. Holland, Gyllenhaal's acting. This is why you get a guy like Gyllenhaal. Because
Yeah.
if it was a lesser actor or I can't think of anyone. I don't want to denigrate anyone, but if it was a lesser actor, then you would have been like even the so mixed really quickly. The huge exposition scene in the bar. Now I know you liked it.
I liked
It was necessary. I get it. I'm a little bit mixed on it. I thought it was a bit, maybe ran a little bit long and maybe a bit too, like too many people, if that makes sense. Because I think there was like 5 or 6 they covered. But anyways, that's a tough scene for Gyllenhaal. As
I
well,
liked it
he has to be
because it was like a scene out of a heist movie.
Yes,
you know?
yes, yeah. Okay, so that's basically it. Those are my thoughts. I thought it was a good quasi sequel to Endgame. It was a good sequel to Homecoming.
Yep.
Fits into the MCU very well.
Good cap on Phase 3.
Yep.
Yep.
I thought it was maybe. It's definitely. I know it's one of your favorites now.
It is
It's,
definitely it is now my favorite
Yep.
live action Spidey movie.
Yeah.
Previously it was the first Tobey Maguire
Mhm,
Spider-Man.
mhm.
It
I
holds
love
a
that
special
one.
place in my heart. Without it, and without X-Men, the first X-Men,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be where we are today, in my
Those-
opinion.
Yeah, I mean, X-Men cracked the door open,
Yeah.
and Spider-Man, 2002 Spider-Man, blew the door off the hinges. Like, it made $400 million in 2002.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's insane.
And I've always loved that film, and that was my favorite
it's a
Spidey
great
film
film.
until Spider-Verse, and Spider-Verse is still my favorite Spidey movie.
Yeah.
But it's not live action, so this
Right,
has now
it's a little
become.
different, yeah.
This is now Far From Home has become my favorite live action Spider-Man movie.
Nice. Okay, so scores. I will give this film a 4.2 out of 5 stars. So I like to use the 5-star system. I think it's very good. I think for me, I don't know where I would have to think about it, like where it ranks. You know, I know some people like ranking, some people don't. But I definitely think it's in the upper half of the MCU. They've had
For sure.
21 films now.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a lot of films. But yes, what do you think? So what's your score?
Oh, I think I like it a little bit more than you,
Yeah, yeah.
so I give it a 4.5 out of 5,
Nice.
9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so mine's 84%. Yeah. So yeah, I just think it's like they keep doing like Marvel and Feige. I know people talk about it a lot,
Mhm.
and I don't want to go on too long or reiterate the same point over and over again.
Mhm.
But it's, I mean, that's 21 films.
That's a lot of movies.
And we were speaking about this before, but so the only ones that I've hated a couple because I just think it goes like, yeah, they're really, really good.
yeah,
And like, let's say for this film, like Far From Home, they have like, let's say 75 jokes
yeah.
and like over 50 hits. Like that's a good
That's
ratio.
good, yeah.
I think Iron Man 2 is atrocious.
That was a bad movie. Thor 2,
Thor 2,
That was
I don't
bad.
hate it as much as you probably.
I really didn't like it.
Yeah, I sort of like it. I sort of don't like it.
I only like the ta-da moment. That's pretty much it.
And Guardians 2 for me. Like, I love Guardians 1, but Guardians 2 is
2
trying so hard to be funny.
It was
just
it,
like,
it was a.
I was just like, oh my gosh, stop with the jokes. Oh my goodness. But anyways, so Far From Home is brilliant. It's entertaining. It's a good Spider-Man film. It's a
Yeah.
good superhero film. It's a good MCU film.
It is.
So you should watch it. I mean, that's
Definitely.
our recommendation.
Yep.
Um,
All right.
yeah, I think that's basically it. I want to thank Michael for being on the show, this
Thank you
channel.
for having me.
Yeah, it's really great. Really great. We've been trying to plan.
For
As
a
a busy
while
man. As I said, he's an actor and a model, so he's a busy guy. Thank you so much for coming. So where can people find you?
So I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Michael C.W. Chan. That's C-H-A-N. You can also look me up on my website, www.michael-chan.ca.
Okay, great. And really quickly, you can like, comment, subscribe on this video and all of the other videos I've done. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate the likes and feel free to comment. So what did you think about Far From Home? This is a spoilers video, so feel free to talk about any detail you want, any spoilers you want. Do you think Quentin Beck is gone? Is he gone, or is he coming back for the Sinister Six? We'll see.
He's not dead.
I sort of want him to be dead, sort of. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching, we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Until next time, bye.